How's it going, everybody? Tyler with LMR.com, back with episode 7 of Project Keeping Calm.
All right, people, we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel for keeping comp. On this episode, we're going to talk about our brake upgrades as well as our choice of wheels for keeping comp. But if you haven't seen any of the other episodes leading up to this one,
I would highly suggest going and checking out the first 6 episodes. That way you can get kind of a general idea of where the project stands at this point.
so up to this point, man, it's been a long journey. It really has. A lot of hours in the car, engine bay, interior, exterior, you name it. Countless hours, long hours. And all I really did for the brake stuff, I kind of said, Jay, you know what? This one's on you. I'm going to let you run with this one.
The factory brakes this Mustang came equipped with were lackluster to say the least. Up front, a dual piston PBR caliper was used with an 11-inch front rotor. A measly 10.5-inch rotor and a single piston caliper were used in the rear.
Obviously, we knew we weren't going to leave the GT stuff on there. Granted, they serve its purpose. The car has 220 horsepower at the tires. You know, yeah, who's going to say, man, you don't need all those brakes to stop 220 horsepower. Yeah, whatever.
So when I originally had the car had the stock GT brakes on it. I used to take it drag racing, and the track that we used to race at had a very short track. It was just an 1/8 mile track, and those brakes just weren't as nice as they could be. Braking performance was okay.
When it came to selecting brakes and wheels for keeping comp, we had many different options on the market we could have chose from. We wanted to keep the selection of the build practical, but at the same time, we wanted to optimize performance. We knew the route we had to go. We wanted a bolt-on kit that did not require extensive modifications. Since we wanted this build to have a unique touch, we opted for the Ford Performance M2300X,
which is what the 2000 Cobra R had from the factory. We felt like the M2300X kit in the front was perfect. And of course, to keep the brake bias somewhat, in check, we went with the Cobra setup in the rear, which was an M2300M kit from Ford Performance.
So the reason we went with this brake kit is because it almost started out as a joke. When we first started talking about this project, we talked about the goals of what we wanted to do, and I just casually mentioned it'd be kind of cool to get that kit on the car. I've always wanted that kit on all of my cars, and I just threw it out there thinking it was just going to be a joke and get shot down, but everybody actually went for it, so I wasn't going to say no. So when we first got the brake setup in, I went out and opened the box. I had to see it for myself. I've never seen one of those up close before, let alone on any of my cars. So that was the first thing I looked at, and I was totally impressed by the kit. The calipers were huge, the rotors were huge compared to the stock setup, and then when we went to go install it.
Some of the challenges we did face are the hose brackets. The M2300X kit comes with a set of braided stainless hoses, and we did have to make some minor modifications on that hose bracket, literally 5 seconds with a file on each side just to make it a tight fit on each side. But that's really, other than pulling everything apart and slapped it together, that was probably the hardest part. Knowing that we had to pull the rear axles for the M2300M kit, we took this opportunity to swap out the rear differential cover to an upgraded SVE diff cover. This also provided us with fresh fluid and added strength to the high mileage 8.8 in the rear end. Brake flushes went great, all 4 corners. You can definitely notice a substantial pedal feel difference on this vehicle after doing this brake install. After installing the brakes, we noticed that the StopTech rotors and the M2300X's rotors were close, but the front rotors needed that extra little touch. Landon hopped in and took the front rotors off,
and I painted the rotor hat a flat black to match the rotor that we chose for the rear.
It really gave the entire car's brake system a huge upgrade from the factory setup.
I've driven several 99 to 04 cars with multiple brake setups. This has by far is probably one of my favorites. Obviously, this is kind of your chips all in terms of braking performance for a new Edge car in consideration and talking about, off the shelf kits. You don't have to piece anything together. It comes all in one box. Again, enthusiast-minded mods. It's going to help you regardless, daily driving. You're going to be able to stop faster at the stoplight, whatever, if you're not paying attention. You're going to be able to late brake it at a road course. If you're drag racing with this stuff, it's not helping you none. I'll be honest with you. It's a heavier front rotor. It's a heavier rear rotor. That stuff is rotational. So anytime you add rotational weight or anytime you add weight period in the drag strip world, that's a definite no-no. Now the icing on the cake for keeping comp were the wheels.
For the wheel selection, I'm kind of hard-headed when it comes to making a decision. So going back and forth on a wheel for this car, we went through a few different options. I was looking at 18-inch chrome Salines. I was looking at the chrome SVE Series 3s. But as a group, we kind of decided the SVE Series 2s.
In gunmetal, 18x9 front, 18x10 rear.
Would be a good fit.
And with those larger front and rear brakes and that open spoke design on the SVE Series 2, they really look great on the car. especially against that competition orange paint.
I believe I was out the day that they put them on, came back, and I fell in love with them.
These wheels were wrapped in Nitto's MT555 G2 tires on all four corners. We opted for a 265/35 and a 285/35 combination for increased traction and handling and wet braking capabilities, since we knew this car would not be a garage queen.
So with the goal of the car being pretty much a restoration with the OEM Plus feel, I feel really good about all the upgrades that were made. The only thing I may change, I still think is going to be the wheels. I feel like I'm going to rotate those wheels out probably every 6 months. I do want to see how the 18-inch chrome Salines are going to look on there, and obviously we come out with a new wheel, I'm going to want to put those on there as well. But in the near future, I think chrome Series 3s are going to find a way on there.
I think I'm with Tyler on this one. This car is from 2004. If we think of that time frame, we think of that period, that staggered deep dish look, front and rear in chrome, you can't beat it.
If I could have had my way, I probably would have went with a Series 2, but in chrome.
All right guys, so we got the brakes on, got the new wheels on.
We pretty much touched base on everything. Leading up to this episode, we've done it all. We've crossed our T's, we've dotted our I's.
Keeping Comp has been one of those projects that has been a long time coming, and we are finally getting to the final stages.
We still got a few things to do to this car.
We're gonna save some of those talking points for the next episode, where we'll kind of sit down and talk about how fun this was, how much of a challenge this was, and just overall, just talk about the experience. We got that one coming, you don't wanna miss it. If you value this video and you've enjoyed this project so far, smash the like button.
Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications.
That way you're notified every time we release something new.
And stay tuned for episode 8. Until then,
Remember, as always, make sure to keep it here with the real Mustang enthusiast.
LMR.com.